Hey guys, Kristen Collins. Hope you're doing well. Wanted to connect this week to talk about what are some steps that we can take to start discovering self-love and self-awareness. It was really interesting. I had the chance to have lunch this week with an old friend who I hadn't seen in years, who picked up a copy of my book, Her Phoenix Rising. And I love being open to the universe, not understanding why I'm reconnecting with someone, where our conversation's gonna go, and just to see, what learnings might come out of that hour of sharing lunch together. And I was in awe of the simplicity and the beauty of this experience where my friend taught me the importance of really articulating and getting crystal clear on how do we go ahead and move forward into self-love. So I want to talk a little bit today about some action steps that you can take on your journey if you're so ready to start contemplating self-love. And the news is good and it's bad. It's not a light switch. It's not if you do these 5 things in order for 21 days each, you are going to wake up on the end of the journey and love yourself. It's not that cut and dry, because for each and every one of us, it's a unique and special journey. That's why the tagline of my company is called Find It Within Yourself. The answers that you are looking for optimal well-being, joy, satiation, love, exuberance, thriving, is unique to you, and it is found within. As we've discussed, it's not found externally. It's not found from the love of someone else or the partnership of someone else, or that, pay raise or that bigger house, or anything, the shoes, the cars outside of us. So as we start a journey towards self-love, knowing and loving self, it is simple, but it's also challenging to wrap your brain around. And the first step is to actually sit and be. And that's where mindfulness comes up. I ran into another girlfriend yesterday passing in the hallways, and she said, I want to connect with you because I'm understanding that I need to work on my mindfulness. Mindfulness keeps coming up to me as I'm going through a lot of transition and a lot of hurt. And I said, yeah, mindfulness is it. So what is mindfulness? What does that even mean? Well, to sit, to be aware, to be in the present moment, which is the only moment that we actually have, is the foundation to knowing and loving self, to actualizing, to thriving, to being well. So I want you to think about, as you start to sit with self, how can you carve out time in your day, whether it's 2 minutes when you wake up or 2 minutes before you go to bed, and even just start with 2 minutes. And what do you want to commit to for the next 7 days to work on being? Just being. That's it. That's the homework assignment. That's step number 1 to knowing and loving self. And being well and thriving is to be. Okay, so I suggest that you go ahead and calendar invite yourself, time block X amount of minutes a day, and commit to the next 7 days to being with self. Part of, or step 2 of that experience is after you sit with self for, even if it's only for 2 minutes this first week, once completing that exercise, journal whatever it is that bubbles up for you. Just free write. It might make absolutely no sense. It might be something really weird from the past that you're like, why is that even coming up for me? Okay. But after you sit with self, as your first step to being in touch with who you are and falling in love with yourself, the second step I would recommend is to go ahead and journal, okay, and see what comes up. Because for me, it was very curious. It was a very interesting journey. And then the third and final exercise for your first attempt at knowing and loving self is to go ahead and, before you react to a given situation throughout your day, to take a deep breath, to take a pause before you react, and notice if you're at all comfortable with sitting in the span of 15 seconds in the silence of a pause. It's amazing to me as I practice being present and quiet and not reacting, how weird silence is and how uncomfortable I can get, but also witnessing the discomfort often of that person I'm sitting across from. So the third step I'd recommend this week is to go ahead and practice a big old deep breath with a pause before you react to something. And that is part of being mindful and present. And it's amazing what those 15 seconds of breath can do for you. So I just want to thank you guys again for our amazing community. The reflection and the mirror that you hold for me is so helpful. When, again, I had lunch with my friend and she said, I read your book, and my boss asked me, what did you learn from reading Kristen's book? And I held my breath. I'm like, oh God, here we go. And she said, I learned that there's hope. So that was beautiful and very inspiring to me, that I stirred hope in her for her own journey. But it also made me really realize that I'm going to attempt to get really clear in options or opportunities to step into your journey to knowing and loving self. And please know that your journey is going to be specific and unique to you, that you don't literally take other people's advice and have to repeat it verbatim. And I'll leave you here today with, again, the thought that what you're looking for is already inside of you. And by being present and journaling what you experience, that is going to be your first step to knowing and loving self. Please let me know how this works out for you. I love, love, love your comments, your shares, your thoughts, and your inspiration. Keep them coming. And until next week, be love. Bye.